Yo, 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 it's your boy Ron Flip the Jump Man, and I'm back with another Jump Man woke reaction compilation video. And if you follow me and you've been following me for the last 7 years, you know every holiday I always post videos on the truth of the holiday, the origins of the holiday. You know what I'm saying? But this year, end of the year, beginning of the year, I'm just doing a compilation one, showing you all of them all in one in this compilation. You know what I'm saying? And the only pagan holiday that I agree on, well, one and a half. The only one and a half pagan holiday that I really agree on is Halloween. Why? Because it's just a day to
I won't be getting no pumpkin though.
honor the dead. You know what I'm saying? You can honor the dead on any day, for real. But if you're a spiritual being, a day like Halloween is not a bad day to honor your ancestors, to dress up like your ancestors. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of religion people is not going to go for it because they're going to look at anything dealing with the dead or so-called demonic, devilish evil. They going to look at it as goddamn black magic, witchcraft, and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? But ain't nothing wrong with honoring your past ancestors, dressing up like one of your past ancestors or anything like that. It's only evil and demonic, as they title those things, is when you do things, when you use those things in the bad way. That only makes it bad. And the other half is because I'm a New Year's baby. So I'm going to bring in the so-called New Year every year on my born day, 0101. You know what I'm saying? On New Year's. You know what I mean? But hey, you know, that's my solo return back here in the physical. But y'all check out the compilation, leave compliments, and all that good shit. I'm out. Peace. Wadu. Jump Man. Reaction.
Nah, I don't celebrate Halloween and all that and carve out the pumpkin because I know from slavery, you know, my ancestors were slaves. So I know what the pumpkin stand for when they used to hang us and put the pumpkin on top of our head. Really? I'm not inviting that energy into my life. Yeah, that's what that is, that jack-o'-lantern. That's a nigga. Hung. Yeah, put the pumpkin, man, gouge his eyes out, everything, put the pumpkin over his head and carve the bitch up. That's what that did, hanging from a tree.
Going into the whole Halloween thing, basically Hallows Eve is just like any other tradition that they deal. That's the European tradition, but all across the world, they even in Mexico and in parts of Asia, parts of India, and even in Africa, they always have what is called a Day of the Dead. The dead also represents the day of the ancestors, but it also represents the underworld, the hollow earth. The underworld. Now, it's not necessarily in metaphysics talking about a realm that's up under the earth, but it's talking about a realm in literally another dimension. That's the ancestral realm. And so every culture has a Day of the Dead, or this Hallows Eve in Europe. That's the European form of the Day of the Dead, dealing with that particular ancestral aspect. It becomes a little more elaborate, you know, with the ghouls and the goblins and all this type of stuff. But still, yet that's the basis of this. So this is a very important day if you understand and read behind the lines in the particular aspect that we honor the realm, the ancestral realm. Give you an example of how we've been spooked out based on Christianity. I have a skull in my living room stuck inside a black pot. So when people come in, they automatically spooked out about it. Now, over over the years, some of the meanings of these things have been lost based on time. But the practitioners still keep up to the tradition of those particular customs, although the real meaning could be lost in time. And that's what happens a lot of times. Then other cultures come in, and because they don't know the real meaning, because some of the practitioners might not know the real meaning, they all relegate all this stuff into evil, a superstition, or bad. 98% of things on the planet, we'll always remember this, 98% of everything that we call evil is basically a misunderstanding based on time and historical ignorance.
The first jack-o'-lanterns in America weren't pumpkins. They were the skulls of black slaves, burned black and lit from within. Enslavers twisted old Celtic rituals into something even darker. After lynchings and executions, the skulls of enslaved Africans were sometimes taken, hollowed, and blackened in fire. Flames were placed inside the bone, turning a human head into a lantern of terror. It wasn't about Halloween fun. It was about fear. These lanterns sent a brutal message: run, resist, or rebel, and this will be your fate. Over time, America buried the truth pumpkins replaced skulls, and the story was rewritten to sound innocent, but the roots were soaked in black suffering. So when you see a glowing pumpkin on a porch, remember it began with the skulls of enslaved black people, burned and desecrated to keep us in chains. Halloween hides the horror, but we refuse to forget.
Did you know every time you celebrate Thanksgiving, you are giving your energy to a dark ritual rooted in genocide, conflict, and blood? People that are knowledgeable about indigenous spiritual practices are well aware that offerings are often given to ancestors and other deities as a form of gratitude or to ask for their assistance. When these offerings are given, the ceremony is called a ritual. When you purchase a turkey and other groceries to prepare for this tradition, you are participating in a ritual. When your family gathers at the table to take part in these traditions, you are participating in a ritual. Although you may have a clear vision of all the things you are thankful for, and you may even have your own reason for celebrating, what really matters is the original intention that was set for this holiday. Who are you really giving thanks to, and what are you really giving thanks for? In order to answer these questions, we need to go back to the 1600s, when the Pilgrims of Plymouth, United Kingdom, landed on the shores of Cape Cod, which is modern-day Provincetown, Massachusetts. It is said that they set sail seeking economic and religious freedom in the New World. The first time that they arrived, they left with hundreds of enslaved natives, and they left behind smallpox. The native inhabitants of that area consisted of various tribes, including the Wampanoag people and the Pequot people. They were there for over 10,000 years before the Europeans arrived. The Pilgrims began to build their settlements, but they were not doing so well. They lived in dirt-covered shelters with a shortage of food, and many of them died due to illness and harsh weather. The natives that were there, specifically a man named Squando of the Wampanoag tribe, helped them, and he taught them how to plant crops, including corn, as well as where to fish and hunt. As a child, we're taught that the Pilgrims created this feast called Thanksgiving to show their gratitude to the natives for teaching them how to live off the land. But this, like many other things taught in school, is only partially true. They don't tell you about the Puritans, who are also from England, that came after hearing of the success of the New World and started warring with the Pequot tribe over their land. They were enslaving and killing the native people left and right. Massacres were taking place every day, just like Columbus did to the Arawaks, and just like Leopold did to the Congolese, and many more. It's the same story in a different location. Every time they successfully destroyed the people of these tribes, they would have a feast feast and give thanks. They were celebrating the victory of murdering your ancestors, and every time you sit down to celebrate Thanksgiving, whether you realize it or not, you are doing the same. Anyway, Squanto tried to get the Pequot and the Puritans to sign a peace treaty, but the Pequot declined. They fought to keep their land and their dignity. The Pequot War was one of the bloodiest Native American wars ever fought. In 1637, near present-day Groton, Connecticut, the Pequot people gathered for their yearly Green Corn Festival, which was their version of Thanksgiving. In the late night hours, the English and Dutch forced the sleeping natives out of their homes and proceeded to beat, murder, and enslave their men as their women and children stood by and watched in horror. The next day, the governor of the Massachusetts Bay Colony declared a day of Thanksgiving because over 700 unarmed men, women, and children had been murdered. Motivated by their victory, the colonists and their native allies attacked village after village. Women and children over 14 were sold into slavery while the rest were murdered. Boats loaded with as many as 500 enslaved individuals regularly left the ports of what the Europeans called New England. Following another successful raid against the Pequot in what is now called Stamford, Connecticut, the church announced a second day of Thanksgiving to celebrate their victory. They hacked off the heads of the natives, and their heads were kicked all over town like soccer balls. The chief of the Wampanoag tribe was beheaded, and his head was put on display in Plymouth, Massachusetts for 24 years. These Thanksgiving feasts continued after every massacre until George Washington finally suggested that only one day of Thanksgiving per year be set aside. Later on, during the Civil War, Abraham Lincoln declared Thanksgiving a national holiday. Every year when you celebrate this holiday, this is what you're giving your energy to. Many of you will say that you're only celebrating for the food or to spend time with family and friends, not realizing that as long as you are putting energy into this holiday, you are taking part in their ritual. I challenge you to create your own day of gratitude, one that isn't rooted in murder. Set aside a day to have a big meal with your family and friends and make it your own family tradition. Let me know in the comments when you stopped celebrating Thanksgiving. And if you haven't, when do you plan to stop participating in this tradition of making a mockery of your people? As long as we continue to participate in their rituals, they will remain at the top and we will stay right here at the bottom.
Listen closely.
When you're celebrating Thanksgiving, do you know what Thanksgiving really is symbolic of? Nigga, yeah, you know about the Pilgrims and the Indians, but they never taught you that you was the Indians, so you really never thought you was the Indians. I did, growing up. I'm like, the Indians, we Africans, nigga. You know what I'm saying? That's what I thought. That's the program that we was fed. So that's what I believe. But when you think about this from now that we know that we understand that we are gods and goddesses, we understand that this is a frequency where we understand that this is the end of their motherfucking system, right? So now let's really look at what Thanksgiving really has been. What is Thanksgiving? Right? They say that's the day when the Pilgrims basically betrayed the Indians. Even if you don't know about it on a cosmic level, let's just look at it on a third dimensional material level, right? This is the day that these motherfuckers came and killed your ancestors, nigga. Slaughtered us. You feel me? And didn't do it with no honor neither, you know what I'm saying? Nigga, they didn't come kill us with no honor. No, they didn't. Nigga, they didn't swear with us with no gangster shit, fam. That ain't what Thanksgiving was like. They really threw a gathering, family. And your ancestors. Because if you are black or Latino, you have carbon in your skin. You are an Indian if you want to call yourself that. Because they called us Indians before too. That was one of our names. Alright?
This video right here is about Christmas, America's biggest satanic holiday. Now I know what a lot of y'all getting ready to do and say, oh, Christmas is about Jesus and holiday cheer and blah, blah, blah. No, it's not. And y'all know how I do and how I've been doing on this channel. I've been coming with the facts. So hold on to your reindeer. Don't fall out your sled, okay? Because we finna do the same thing and slide on Christmas, okay? Now, Christmas has nothing to do with Jesus, okay? And December 25th is not only astrologically significant to the sun setting within the southern sky, specifically within a Crooks constellation for 3 days, from December 22nd to December 25th before it comes back into the northern hemisphere. Hence the biblical, allegorical, astrological, metaphorical reference of the sun, aka Jesus, dying and rising again 3 days later. But December 25th is associated with with a European / German folkloric deity named Krampus. Okay? Now, it's finna get crazy. Okay? Krampus is known as the Christmas devil. Okay? So, before we go, because Santa Claus is Satan. Okay? And we're gonna prove this. Now, Santa Claus, right, is Satan. If you take the N out of Santa Claus and put it on the back, it spells Satan. Now, if you study what is known as psycholinguistics, aspect of psycholinguistics is how your brain, okay, sees a word even if the letters are scrambled. So if you see God, your brain also sees dog, okay? As long as either the first or the last letter is in its proper place, your brain is still going to read the word, okay? So you could be reading something and it could say kill yourself today, but you don't know that. But your brain is still reading that because either the first or the last letter is in a proper place. So Santa, S-A-N-T-A, if you take the N and put it at the back, it spells S-A-T-A-N, which is Satan. So your brain is still registering Satan every time you see Santa. Now, Santa Claus comes on December 25th and gives the kids gifts. Now, Santa Claus is Krampus. Krampus is a European / German deity which comes on December 25th and eats and puts the kids in his knapsack and goes off with the children to eat them. Okay? And Krampus has horns just like Baphomet, which is the symbol of Lucifer. Now, I know what y'all saying. Oh, well, how you just gonna associate Santa Claus with Krampus? When the church wanted to co-adopt these so-called pagan festivities, you couldn't just bring Krampus to America because America is a so-called Christian nation. So they had to revamp Krampus and turn him into Santa Claus, aka Old Saint Nick. Now, what y'all don't know is Old Nick, okay, is not a person. Saint Nicholas was allegedly a person. Old Saint Nick, okay, Old Nick, the word Old Nick, O-L-D space N-I-C-K, is a title for devil. Go look it up. In 1643, the phrase Old Nick was first created, and it literally means devil. And the second definition is nickname for Satan. Okay? Okay, go look it up. So when you say Old Saint Nick is coming on Christmas, you literally saying old devil or Satan is coming. Santa Claus is Satan, okay? Krampus is Satan. Krampus is Baphomet. Krampus is Lucifer. Now let's continue to get crazy, okay? Because now, remember, Krampus come to get the bad kids, okay? He come to steal the kids and eat them. And you can go look up all kind of pictures and paintings of Krampus. You're going to see him with the red lower half, pants on just like Santa Claus, and he gonna have a knapsack, but instead of gifts in it, he gonna have kids in it. So all they did was turn Santa Claus into a chubby old white man, and they turned the kids into gifts, okay? And instead of Krampus coming to take the kids, now allegedly in the form of Santa, he comes to give them kids. And this is why they made Santa Claus red, the same way that they always characterize the devil as being red. Now, let's continue on, because we want to talk about the song Santa Claus is Coming to Town, okay? Remember, once again, Krampus's job was to come for all the naughty children, right? Let's just sing some lyrics to the song. The song goes, you better not cry, you better not shout, you better not, it goes, you better not pout, you better not cry, you better not shout. I'm telling you why. Santa Claus is coming to town, aka Satan, aka Krampus. Now when he comes, what's happening? Let's continue the song. He knows when you are sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He knows when you've been bad or good, so be good for goodness sake. Now, why would you be telling kids, please be good for goodness sake? Okay? Because it's a consequence. And what is the consequence? Krampus, aka Baphomet, aka Lucifer, aka Satan, aka Santa, is gonna eat your ass and carry you off. Okay? The song is demonic, okay? It's a demonic song, and people singing it, okay? You got kids singing this song, warning them about the Christmas devil who comes to kidnap kids and eat them. This is all researchable. Go look it up. I don't want to hear it, okay? Now let's keep it moving now. Now we want to talk about the Christmas tree, okay? Because Satan, aka Santa, comes down your chimney, and coincidentally, Krampus used to come down people's chimneys too. Coincidentally. But Santa comes down your chimney and puts gifts under the Christmas tree. Okay? So you got to decorate the Christmas tree for Satan. Let's focus on the Christmas tree, right? The Christmas tree, right, is what? A decorated tree that you set up in the awaiting of Satan, aka Santa Claus, to bring you your gifts. Now let's go to the occultic sciences behind the tree, right? The tree itself represents the tree of knowledge within the Bible. The balls on the tree represent the fruits on the tree that Eve ate from, that the devil told her to eat from, aka Satan. The ribbons on the tree represent the serpent, aka the form of Satan in this particular story when he talked to Eve, okay? And the 5-point star on the top of the tree represents the pentagram, which in Satanism is a symbol for Lucifer, okay? And not only is it lit up, you got lights on the tree. Why? Because Lucifer is the beholder of light. So your Christmas tree is a replica of the tree of knowledge. And remember, Luciferians believe that Lucifer gave Adam and Eve the gift of knowledge that God tried to withhold from them. This is why you're waiting for Santa, aka Satan, to come down your chimney and give you a gift underneath your Christmas tree. See?
Can we talk about the dark history of Easter? You gotta make sure you check outside. Sorry to say that Easter has nothing to do with Jesus. Many aspects of traditional Christianity, holidays, practices, doctrines, the bunnies, the eggs, springtime, came not from Christ or the Bible but came from pagan religion. Easter Sunday is a Babylonian pagan holiday, which idolizes the fertility goddess Ishtar. Worshipping Ishtar was intended to ask for her blessing of fertility on the crops and everything else. On the first Sunday after the full moon, they would celebrate by baking cakes, getting drunk, and committing other heinous crimes. Women were required to celebrate the conception by laying down at the temple of Ishtar and having relations with anybody who walks in. There is a very, very dark history on why they color eggs. Babies were sacrificed, and the blood of the infants were dipped in the eggs for Ishtar. Want to know the reason there's a bunny rabbit? Rabbits can bear several litters of young each year, meaning they have high fertility. Decorating eggs seems harmless until you consider the origins of it. None of this had to do with Christianity. The bunnies and the eggs are not as simple as they seem, and this holiday is not holy. Y'all be safe.
Some of you getting ready for Easter, 90 going 100. Lord have mercy. Lord child. Lord Jesus. It's Easter. You getting ready to get your big hat with the cherries and bananas and all stuff on top of it. And your Easter dress and your Easter shoes and your Easter suit. You wearing silk and satin and Oochie and Poochie and Gucci. And if you can't afford that, you're wearing the twins, Polly and Esther, for Easter. Who was Easter? This is genocide. This is a part of the Holocaust. Who was Easter? Easter is an old white sex god. Got nothing to do with Jesus, the black revolutionary Messiah, the black son of the living God, the black Messiah, the black Redeemer. What does a white rabbit have to do with Jesus? What does a white man with a red suit on have to do with Jesus? This fella gets more play than Jesus. White people in pagan backward Europe used to get buck naked. The white woman would dye her body and paint her body from head to toe. She would hide in the bushes, hide in the trees, hide in the caves. The white man would go, he didn't go Easter egg hunting. The white man would Easter leg hunt. And wherever he found a white woman, he'd jump right on her right there. Sometimes 2 or 3 men would jump on one white woman. They thought that all of this silly, perverse sexual activity is what made the flowers bloom, what made the birds sing, and they thought that filled the atmosphere with the fragrance of spring. The fools didn't know it was going to be spring anyway. Some white men would get naked and paint their bodies all over too, and they would go hide, hoping somebody would find them and mistake them for a white woman. This is history. Easter, Astarte, or Easter, is the name of a white sex god. That's why they use the egg. That's why they use the bunny. Why do you think the bunny is the same symbol for the Playboy magazine and the Playboy bunnies and the Playboy club that is used for Easter? Astarte, Easter, or Easter. They tell you one year Jesus was resurrected in March. Next year he got up in April. I mean, did he get up in March or did he get up in April? You can't get up you can't get up 1 month this year and get up the next month next year. Yo, you know what I'm saying? Give me a break. This has nothing to do with Jesus, the black revolutionary Messiah. Get this out of your home. Take these crackers down from your wall. Take this white Jesus down. Take your white angels down. Take your white Mary down. Take your white Last Supper, 13 crackers sitting at a table. Take them down. Put them in the garbage can and set the garbage can out on the sidewalk. And let the garbage man pick it up and take it to the garbage dump. You must have a black liberation theology.
Sex organ in them so much that they do get to the point where if they don't crush that beast, they'll be out here raping people. You see what I'm saying? That's the level I'm talking about. And St. Valentine was known. He was a well-known rapist. He was a well-known rapist. So St. Valentine, he represents that whole idea of raping. And that's why, like, at the top of the heart is shaped like a booty. And the bottom is shaped like the entrance to a coochie. Like how when you go inside the coochie, once you release, and it goes up through, you know. So it represents the duality of having sex with basically a male and a woman. You get what I'm saying? Because St. Valentine's did both. St. Valentine had sex with men and women. So that's what that heart shape represents. The top represents the anus. It's shaped like an anus. The bottom of the heart is shaped like the ovum. It's like the ovum structure, the entry point through the vaginal area of a woman, of a goddess, of a vagina. You get what I'm saying? And that's why they try to say, hey, it's love. It represents love. You know what I'm saying? And shit like that. That ain't got nothing to do with love. The heart shape on Valentine's Day ain't got nothing to do with love. And that's why I'm trying to tell you, your heart ain't even shaped like that. The heart ain't even shaped like that. Go look up the real shape of a heart. It is not shaped like that. So that's why I told y'all to drop them heart emojis. Because you should ask yourself, why is the heart shaped like this if the real heart don't look like that? And then they get you to use the heart as a symbol of love. So now when you're dropping that heart emoji, you're dropping this symbol of St. Valentine, of the duality. Yeah, it get deep. I'm going to open y'all eyes in here.
I'm not here to ruin your Valentine's Day, but we don't even know what we celebrate anymore. Valentine's Day is supposed to be about love and romance, but the origins is actually dark and bloody. You could pinpoint this story back to ancient Rome. From February 13th to February 15th, the Romans would celebrate a festival called Lupercalia. The men would sacrifice a goat and a dog, and then they would whip the women with the skin of these animals that they just killed. It wasn't no little whippings, it was beatings. This festival was a drunken naked party. It was an orgy basically. The woman would line up and they would get whipped individually. They believed that this increased fertility in the women. Then they would do a matchmaking lottery, like if it was Love is Blind. We'll put the names of all the women in a jar, and a man would come and select a name out of the jar. Then that couple would be matched up for the duration of the whole festival, the whole 3 days. You had no say. Now this is where it gets wild. In one of these festivals of Lupercalia, the emperor at the time, Claudius II, executed 2 men. And guess what the name of both of these men were? Valentine. Both of them. This happened on February 14th in the 3rd century. Turns out Valentine and Valentine were both martyrs. They were trying to create a revolution at the time for the common society. So to honor these martyrs, the Catholic Church decided to celebrate St. Valentine's Day. During the 5th century, Pope Gelasius I decided to combine St. Valentine's Day with the festival of Lupercalia to expel the pagan rituals. In other words, erase history like how they love doing. It was still an orgy, but the Catholic Church made it more civil. And to put the cherry on top, one of the famous writers of all time, Shakespeare, started romanticizing Valentine's Day in his writings. This story of Valentine's Day spread all over Britain and Europe like wildfire. I get that a lot of people don't care about history, but it's important to learn about your history, so at least know what you're celebrating. Because love to me gets celebrated every single day. There's no need to have an exact date to show that love. And just know when you're celebrating Valentine's Day, you're really celebrating a pagan holiday, an orgy party with whips.
Happy Lupercalia.
Now listen, right? Valentine's Day is not what you think it is, you know. It come from the Roman holiday, the Lupercalia, right? I'm explaining to you what they used to do. Jews coming. So what they used to do is have large gatherings of young people, right? Boys and girls. Put all the names into a basket. Then the men would come and pick names out of the basket and go and have relations. They would choose a name and then go step off into a groupie. I showed y'all what groupies really was, right? They come from the Greek god Eros, right? Which means like erotica. They use a cupid, which is a baby with a love arrow. So basically, a high priest king that wasn't with the fuckery, his name was Priest Valentine. They killed him. Listen, he tried to put a stop to the madness because Rome was letting people marry they was letting men marry the young people, whoever it was, boy or girl, right? He tried to put a stop to it. His name was Priest Valentine, right? He was a Christian priest, so then they just took his name and remixed it and killed him. But he wrote a letter to the people the day he died. Listen, he went against the state and he went against the whole Roman tradition at that time of what they was doing. He was like, nah, right? So they killed him that night, executed him, got him out of there. He wrote a letter that was coming. So he wrote a letter to the young people saying, dear young people or whatever, but he put, from your Valentine, right? He didn't put the S, but you know, from your Valentine. And tried to let them know what was going on, what was bad about it, the direction, the way that the people was heading, and how they was confused and morally fucked up. So be careful while you out there celebrating Lupercalia in the name of the god Eros, which means erotica. You know what I'm saying? And they used to add a blood ritual to it. You must know that. So, happy Valentine's Day.
Did you know that January 1st isn't the real New Year? In the 7th century, the Romans deemed nature-based calendars utilized by our people for thousands of years as inadequate. They also did not want there to be an even number of months because the Romans considered even numbers as bad luck. So, per usual, they took parts of our original calendars and incorporated their own months. Originally, our calendars started in March, but they added January, named after the Roman god Janus. February is named after the Roman god Februus. Julius Caesar named July after himself, while August was named in honor of Augustus Caesar. Something to think about here is if octo means 8, nov means 9, and dec means 10. Why isn't October, November, and December the 8th, 9th, and 10th months? The Romans originally celebrated their new year on January 1st by giving sacrifices to their god Janus. However, traditionally, we celebrated the new year during the spring equinox, which takes place around March 21st when seeds begin to bear the first fruit. This is the time when nature thrives and new life begins to bloom. New life does not emerge during the cold, short days of winter. Our ancestors recognized the beginning of new life as the beginning of a new year. This perspective explains why today only 7 to 10% of individuals manage to stick to their New Year's resolution. Intriguingly, there is now a holiday called Quitter's Day, which is observed on the second Friday of January. Studies show by that time 75 to 85% of people have already abandoned their resolutions. Winter is a time for introspection and hibernation, allowing us to strategize, plan, and rest in order to prepare for action during the spring and summer months. Traditionally, for our ancestors, the start of the year was often based on an astronomical event, such as the rising of a star or the flooding of a river, which was beneficial to harvesting crops. For many ancient cultures, this normally occurred at the beginning of the real new year, between March and April. Let me know in the comment section if you were aware of these facts. Also, let me know what changes you might make in order to facilitate unlearning and relearning.
Did you know that January 1st is not really the new year? Now I know many of you are still going to celebrate January 1st being the new year, but let's look at this from a common sense standpoint. If you look at it, we're in winter right now. Spring is typically known as new beginnings. So why are we celebrating New Year's in winter when spring is actually the new year? You wouldn't start planting things in winter and expect for it to grow, correct? That's typically what spring is for. So why is it that we celebrate New Year's in winter? Because what it really represents is the fiscal new year. A fiscal year is a one-year period that companies and governments use for financial reporting and budgeting, which is why it's so-called tax season. A fiscal year is most commonly used for accounting purposes to prepare financial statements. And since the United States is a federal corporation, this is why it has its citizens doing their tax statements at the fiscal new year. Winter is the season for hibernating and the season of death, which is why things don't grow in winter, which is why it's all cold and represents death. So the best time to do New Year's resolution would be on March 21st, which is the new year. But hey, continue to do what you do. I'm just here to let you know some common sense.
Quick question. Can we stop celebrating New Year's in the middle of winter? First, we don't need calendars to tell us when the new year begins. The new year begins whenever the first seeds bear the first fruit and flowers. Second, King Numa Pompilius, or Emperor of Rome again, is the grandfather of the Gregorian calendar that we still follow to this day, and he only added January and February so that we could align our calendars with the lunar year because that's how they worshiped. 3, we all watching this video probably speak basic Latin, basic Spanish. We understand octo, ocho, octopus, octagon mean 8. We understand nueve, nove, novente mean 9, 9, and 90. We understand diez, dec, decimal, decagon mean 10. If octo, nove, and dec mean 8, 9, and 10, then why are October, November, and December our 10th, 11th, and 12th months? They shifted 3. You understand? So if we shift 3 from December, that's January, February, March, meaning March, the beginning of spring, i.e. when the first seeds bear the first fruit and flowers, is when the new year really begins. You understand? And it goes on to say that if we start from March, let's count. March, April, May, June, July is the 5th month. August is the 6th month. September is the 7th month again. October is the 8th month again. November is the 9th month again. And December is the 10th month again, ending the year, starting back over in March. The thing that we don't understand is that all of our days do not have the same time. All of our days are not the same length or not the same duration.
My guy. All right, so someone asked if I could talk about the actual calendar and the real new year. So first, I'm going to start off by telling y'all that there are actually 13 months. And if you pay attention, all of it makes sense. Remember how I told y'all that us and nature are connected? We're all connected. This is what I mean by that. So actually listen to what I'm about to say. The moon cycles every 28 days. And if you pay attention, when a woman is pregnant, they only count her pregnancy every 28 days. And they count by 4 weeks. 4 weeks in this month, 4 weeks in that month. And that's why when you count the weeks, it go by 7, 14, 21, 28. And the reason why I say we actually have 13 months is because if we have 13 months instead of 12, each month will have 28 days. So not only do the moon have a 28-day cycle, but don't us women have a 28-day cycle when it comes to our period? Not only that, God calls the moon a her. So the moon itself is represented as a female. So you got the women's menstrual cycle that's every 28 days, just like the moon cycle is every 28 days. So the moon is represented as a she, and it has a 28-day cycle, just like us, females, we have a 28-day cycle. Keep up, I'm trying to show you how we connected to nature. The only month that's actually truthful that we go by is February. That's the only month that actually has 28 days. All those other months, if all those months go to 28 days instead, it will make an extra month that will also have 28 days. So we will have 13 months that all have 28 days, which is actually for the missing month that we are supposed to have. April 1st, which is April Fool's, is symbolic to them fooling you into thinking that January 1st is the actual new year. But like I told y'all, we are connected to nature. Nature shows us that the real new year is in spring. Nature shows us that the real new year is when the earth starts to come alive again. The trees, the grass, and the flowers begin to blossom and grow back. Our energy is connected to nature. Our energy actually begins to shift with nature also. The new year is actually based off the seasons. And spring is the new season. January is not the new year. This is all some fake stuff that's going on, and they got y'all programmed. Like for real, how could January be the new year and it ain't representing no change? No new life, no growth. We are connected to nature. No matter what y'all try to lie about, what lies they put into y'all, or what y'all don't want to believe in, no matter what you want to believe in, we connected to nature regardless of what y'all say. God created us, God created nature. We are supposed to align with each other. 13 months instead of 12 will be exactly 28 days in each month. The first will always be a Monday, and the 28th will always be a Sunday. Every month will have exactly 4 weeks, and we will properly align ourselves with the moon cycle. Moon cycle, 28 days. Menstrual cycle, 28 days. Days of the month, 28 days. September came from an old Roman word called septem, meaning 7, which was originally the 7th month. October came from the Latin and Greek word oct, meaning 8, which was originally the 8th month. November came from the Latin word novem, meaning 9, which was originally the 9th month. December came from the Latin word decem, meaning 10, which was originally the 10th month. So September is actually the 7th month. October is actually the 8th month. Why do you think they call it an octopus an octopus? Oct stands for 8. An octopus has 8 tentacles. They call it an octopus for a reason, because it stands for 8 at the beginning. November is really the 9th month. And December is actually the 10th month. So for us to call September the 9th month, October the 10th month, and so on, that's a bold-faced lie. Because it's not true. What I'm trying to tell y'all is at the end of the day, nature tells us the real time. And God made us the way we are and made nature the way it is for a reason. And we supposed to properly align with nature. Y'all have to realize we didn't have clocks and stuff back then. We followed nature. Nature told us the time. And until this day, nature tells us the time. God made us the way we are for a reason, the same way he made nature the way it is for a reason. So like I always said, Romans 3 and 4, let God be the truth and every man a liar.
Hey man, Happy New Year. Bro, New Year's was months ago. That's what they want you to think. What do you mean? The real New Year starts in the spring when everything wakes up. At least that's how it's always been until the Gregorian calendar messed everything up. So how did the Gregorian calendar mess things up? Pope Gregory introduced the Gregorian calendar not to keep time, but to remind folks when to pay taxes. That's why it's called calendar, because in ancient Rome, calends was the day that debts were recorded. Wait a minute. You're saying the calendar was built for taxes? Exactly. And the whole system got thrown off earlier when Julius Caesar and Augustus decided they wanted their own months. That's how we got July and August. Well, why is February so short? Because Augustus wanted his month to be just as long as Julius's, so he stole a day from February. So they reshuffled time to feed their egos. Here I thought they made February short because they were just racist towards Black History Month. But this makes more sense. And that's not even the craziest part. Have you ever noticed the months don't even truly line up to their names? Think about it. September, Septem, 7, but it's the 9th month. October, Octo, 8, but it's the 10th month. November means 9, but it's the 11th month. December, Deca, 10, but it's the 12th month. So they really out here just messing things up. If the calendar was actually accurate, we would have 13 months, not 12. But why 13? Because it follows the natural cycles of the moon's 28 days, which also corresponds to women's menstrual cycles. You see, ancient cultures had it right. They based their calendar based off the moon and the cosmos, not taxes. So every month would be 28 days. Exactly. And the first day of every month would always land on the same day of the week. So we're really just out here living in a system designed to confuse us. And now you see why they call it April Fool's Day.
Don't celebrate Columbus Day unless you like child predators, because that's exactly what Christopher Columbus was, a child predator. But let's get down to the facts and what they hid from us. The truth is, Christopher Columbus enslaved indigenous people and trafficked young girls. He put little girls on a boat as young as 9 and 10 years old and sent them to be abused on an island. Sounds familiar? Now tell me that doesn't sound just like Jeffrey Epstein. Different century, same sickness. Whole groups of children were torn from their families and forced onto a ship. He shipped those girls to an island to be used and sold. That isn't exploration. That's human trafficking. This man didn't discover anything. People were already living there. The only thing Christopher Columbus brought was genocide, slavery, and exploitation. Enslaved entire nations. Unleashed genocide on indigenous people. A predator that sold children. A human trafficker. A person that brought enslavement, torture, and mass death. He built his legacy on the suffering of others to the people that lived here. And America still has the nerve to honor him with the holiday. That holiday isn't about discovery. It's about covering up crimes against humanity. So if you're mad at what Jeffrey Epstein did, but you're celebrating Christopher Columbus Day, then you're honoring the exact same crimes: child trafficking, exploitation, and abuse. The only thing is it's hitting under the word history. But every October, America still celebrates him like he was something great.